The Chaunce Hayden Show is sponsored by Hover.com. Go to gfq.hover.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. FreshBooks. FreshBooks is an easy-to-use online invoicing service that saves you time, gets you paid faster, and makes you look professional. Get started completely for free at freshbooks.com. And by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook by going to audiblepodcast.com/GFQ. Location provided by Sapphire New York. Visit them at nysapphire.com.
You think you have me all down, you think you have me, I will always be one step ahead.
Don't hurt me, for real. Ah! Look at her teeth! No, she has fangs! I'm not even kidding! Oh God! Oh God! Oh my God! Are you insane? Hey everybody, you're watching the Chaunce Hayden Show on GFQLive.tv, and of course we're broadcasting live from the Sapphire Gentlemen's Club in New York City, the world's greatest gentlemen's club. Why are you laughing? Why is that funny to you?
No, because you're always like saying it so fast.
Do you want me to say it slower?
Yes, so I can memorize.
Because if I say it slower, then I start laughing, because then it sounds ridiculous, because it's so long. I
want
want to get it over with.
Do you want me not to look at you when you do it?
No, you can look at me.
Okay, fine, go.
No, don't look at me.
Okay, fine.
Watch, this is my slow version.
Okay.
We're broadcasting live from the Sapphire. I can't say it slow. I
can't
only
say
say it
Sapphires.
fast. I have to
Okay,
say
fine,
it
just
fast.
do it, do it.
You do it. Why, you know what? You're my co-host. You should have this responsibility.
Yeah, but I haven't memorized it yet. That's why you have to do it slow so I can memorize it in case
What is the name of the club we're broadcasting from?
Sapphire's Gentlemen's Club in New York City.
Okay, so say it. We're
broadcasting live from Sapphire's Gentlemen's
There you go. It's hard, isn't it?
Stop. No.
If you say it fast, I have found over the years, listen to me, when you say it fast, there's less chance of making a mistake. The faster you go, the faster you get it over with.
So do it.
So here we go. You ready? This is how it should be. Okay. So this is the Chaunce Hayden Show. You're watching live on the GFQLive.tv network, GFQnetwork.com, also MetropolisNights.com, which is the magazine that we represent. And this is really, we want to focus on the magazine. But of course, the show is about the magazine at the end of the day. It's a visual version of Metropolis Nights. And we can't leave out the Sapphire Gentlemen's Club in the VIP.
I'm not even looking
it's
at
so
you,
hard.
I don't know
The,
why
the VIP Boomer and Carton Room. How was that?
That was good.
Yeah. We could do a whole show just doing the intro. Andrew, don't shake your head. There's 25 different things we have to say to start the show. It's impossible.
I don't know how you don't know how to speak.
No.
I speak 4 languages.
Why can't we just
you
say,
speak 1.
Why can't we just say the Chaunce Hayden Show?
Yeah, fine. That's all it is. Make everything so hard.
I know, but I feel like I feel obligated to say all the other things, and we don't have any protocol for that. The Chaunce Hayden Show.
Chaunce Hayden Show.
Big show tonight. We have huge star, mega star.
Yes.
It's not Angelina Jolie.
No. Definitely not.
No, it's not Sandra Bullock, but it's the next best thing. It's the third best thing.
Yes.
We have Karen Gravano on the show tonight from Mob Wives. VH1 Mob Wives. Incredible get for the show.
Do you watch it?
Thanks to me.
Do you watch it?
I missed the last 2 episodes. Have you been watching it?
Yeah.
And so you know all the gossip. You know everything's been happening. Because I know a lot of things. Like there's some tough questions we got to ask tonight.
Ooh, like what?
Now, we got to plan when we're going to ask them, because if we ask them too quick, I don't want her to storm out or to punch you in the face.
Why would she punch me in the face?
Because I know what you're going to say.
I'm not going to say anything.
Are you going to say you don't like her?
No, I'm not going to say that.
And she's a fighter. She's not like Ramona. Ramona is nice. She's not going to be like Ramona.
Yeah, but I didn't even tell Ramona I didn't like her. I just said I was Team Drita.
That's it. Well, I would strongly advise you not to say you're Team Drita.
So what should
tonight.
I do? Should I lie?
Yes. Lie tonight. Tonight you should lie. Because she will punch you in the face.
I don't like lying.
But she's going to punch you in the face.
It's like Ash Wednesday. That's like even worse.
Are you in the mood to fight? Are you ready to fight tonight? I mean, fight.
Hey, comes down to it. No, I'm just kidding. No, she wouldn't fight me. Come on, that's stupid. I'm like,
this is what she does.
I'm like little.
She doesn't care.
She's a grown woman. She's gonna fight me because I said I'm Team
She'll punch me in the face first.
Stupid. To get to me, because I'll be over there.
She'll shove me like in my face like this, push me aside, leap over me, and start pulling your hair.
Would you protect me? Or
no, I would run out of the room screaming like a girl.
Yeah, well, you're a jerk.
I would run out of the room. I'd be the first one out of this room.
If
I even think she's gonna hit you, I'm running out the front door.
That's messed up. Next time I go next door when we're in the office, I'm not even gonna ask you if you want something to drink.
No, I don't care. I'm a coward. I'm a baby.
Whatever.
I'm scared. And you can't. And a guy can't hit a girl anyway.
Yeah, but you could grab her.
No, you can't grab her. You can't. The worst thing you can do is grab a girl in a fight. The worst thing you can do.
Actually, yes.
All
I know.
you can do is.
Trust me, I know.
You gotta run. You just gotta run. If you're a guy and two girls are fighting, you stand in the corner. You get your cell phone out. You videotape it for YouTube later on that night, and you cheer.
Well, we don't even have to videotape it because it's already going to be on camera.
That's right. Well, this is my own personal YouTube clip. Catfights.com.
Can we see how many hits we get?
Catfights.com. No, what? You know that guys love watching that. You know that, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing better. And you almost got into a fight this week, or you did get into a fight.
Kind of, yeah. I went whale hunting this week.
You were saying that in the office. What is whale hunting? Or what does that mean?
I'm just kidding. It was just because the girl was really big, so I call it whale hunting.
So when you get into a fight with a woman who's overweight, someone who looks like you, an attractive girl like you, looks down upon those.
I just don't like her, so whatever, whale hunting it is.
Is that because you're so beautiful?
No, she was pretty. She was pretty.
But she was fat. She was overweight.
No, she wasn't like overweight. She's not a whale. I'm exaggerating.
Are you disgusted by people who are overweight?
No, that's really mean.
When you look, but come on, look at you.
No.
Do you surround yourself with overweight women to protect you from men? Like, do you have a posse of girls who don't look as good as you do, that are like your wall between you and men?
No.
Because every hot girl has a whole army of ugly girls that she surrounds herself with.
No, all my friends are pretty.
Really?
Yeah.
So you probably say that. If I saw your friends, I go, oh,
no,
there you go.
You met Helen. You thought Helen was pretty?
Not like you.
She's pretty.
She's pretty. No, she's pretty. She is
really
pretty.
Yeah.
But you don't have any fat friends. You don't associate with fat people. Why?
It's not that I don't associate with my.
What is your problem with fat people?
I don't have a problem with fat people.
Then why don't you have a fat friend?
You're changing the story around.
Why don't you have a fat friend?
Because I just don't. It's just coincidence that I don't have fat friends. Like that's
There's a reason for it.
No, there's no reason for it. It's just because my friends go to the gym. That's the reason.
You should have a fat friend.
All right. Well, maybe I'll go find one this weekend.
I'm
gonna go find a fat friend this weekend. So then that way next week when we come on the show, I'm gonna say
people will think you're a better person
if I have a fat friend.
That's right.
Like, oh, look at her. She's so nice.
That's right. You should. I'm shocked. Well, you're young yet. You'll have fat friends soon. Yeah. So,
I'll be fat one day with the way I eat.
Last week I was talking about, before we bring Karen in here, just got to get through a few quick things. And one of the things I have to mention, because I don't talk about it much in the office because I want to scare you, but my rash has gotten worse.
Worse?
It's spreading and it's worse.
Oh, I feel bad. Yeah,
to the point now, well, like now it's like, now I know. My legs are bleeding.
Is it contagious?
You know what it looks like?
Is it contagious?
I don't think so. But if you saw me completely naked, you know what it would look like?
What?
If you could see my body completely naked, it would look like I got shot with
BB gun?
like a shotgun, like a pellets when they come out and it sprays your body with pellets. Rob knows this. You're crazy, right? You have guns. what do you call it when you shoot people with bullets that spray and fire like all over the place and you get little dots all over your body? What is that called?
Heat gun? A shotgun?
Yeah, when you get shot with a gun and instead of one single bullet wound, you're sprayed with dots all over your body.
Scrap metal?
What are you talking about, scrap metal? I'm talking about a pellet. When you shoot someone with a gun, a shotgun, pellets come out, not bullets.
A real gun. You're talking about a real gun.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You're talking about like a real.
I'm talking about.
Like
I'm talking about a rifle.
A rifle. If you get shot with a real gun.
Yeah.
Like,
what I'm trying.
A machine gun.
This was not supposed to be part of the conversation.
A machine
It's not that complicated. I'm talking about a rifle.
Like a BB gun.
When you shoot someone with a rifle, it's pellets. You ever see? You're supposed to be explaining this to me, and I'm explaining it to you. It's not a bullet. It's like a cylinder, a plastic cylinder with metal balls. And when you shoot it, the balls spray, and you kill your target because it sprays.
You do understand that guns are it's metal. It's not plastic.
I'm not talking about the gun. I'm talking about the thing that hits you.
Ask Rob, he would know.
Robert doesn't know.
We just went through this. Rob doesn't know. My God, this is insane. No, I'm talking about the bullets that hit you. Little tiny buckshot. Thank you, buckshot. Oh my God.
Well, I'm really glad you did this.
Where do you hang out that you would even get
So my body, if you look at me naked, my body looks like it was sprayed with buckshot. I have black dots all over my body. Either that or I'm dying of AIDS. I'm in the final stage of AIDS, like the final stage, the last stage. I may have the AIDS. It's either that or buckshot. Like it's one or the other. If you picked me up in a club, if you picked me up in a club, and you brought me home, and we got naked, you would be terrified.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I'd pretend to fall asleep.
That's what you do. That's how you get out of it.
Yeah.
Like if we were really attracted to each other. I mean, use your imagination. You really use your imagination.
Okay.
Say we meet in a club and you and I are really attracted to each other, and we're making out all night.
Okay. Like you and that lady that gave you the rash.
Yes.
Okay.
And you just like that, and you take me home because you can't tell right now I have this horrible disease.
Okay.
Right? If you looked at me right now, you wouldn't know what's going on.
Yeah, no, you look like a normal person.
I look like
you
semi-normal.
Some weird rash thing going on. Okay.
You take me to your room. You turn the lights on, and there I am naked, and you see what's going on.
I would laugh a little.
What do you do?
And then I would pretend to fall asleep. Like I would just.
Would you dive on the bed and close your eyes and squeeze the pillow and hope I go away? Like what would you do?
I was just like, you know what? Let's leave this for another day. I'm kind of tired.
And if I said to you, why is it because of all the dots on my body from this rash?
Then I'd say yes, it is. Don't ever call me again.
Really? You'd be that blunt?
Well, if you had like a rash, it'd be kind of weird. Well, I would ask you. You know what? No, I'd be nice. I'd be like, so, is there anything you want to tell me, or maybe explain your rash?
Why I'm bleeding all over my body?
Yeah.
Why pus warts are oozing green fluid from my skin
You're so gross.
all over the place?
Yes, I would ask you.
Including my ass and groin?
Ew, you're so gross. I can't even take it.
That's the worst. When it attacked my ass, it was the worst. Because you can deal with your legs, your thighs, you know what I mean? That happens.
Yeah, but then your ass is
But when it gets into
level,
now it's in places that it shouldn't be. Like now it's in places that really have me upset. It's morphed.
Have you gone to the doctor?
Yeah.
You should probably go again.
She gave me antibiotics.
And
It's making it worse. It's making it
You
worse.
should go again.
I should go again.
Yeah, you should.
Right?
Yeah. Take a day
I'm thinking
off.
about shaving my body, like shaving my body clean and starting over.
It's not gonna get rid of the rash though.
No.
You're just gonna be hairless with a rash.
Right.
So,
All right. Anyway, I just want to give an update because I'm concerned.
I know a lot more about you.
But before we bring our guest in, I also want to say one thing.
Yes.
You've been following Jeremy Lin,
Oh, okay.
the basketball player.
Yeah. I'm like, wait.
ESPN did the greatest, stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I don't know where I fall on this, but what did they say? They used the word chink in a report. What was the exact term they used in description?
A chink in the armor for the Knicks.
So whoever did that, whoever decided that was the way to go with that story, that's you're getting fired. Like you're not gonna have a job the next day, but you have such a commitment to saying that you think it's so brilliant to put that in a report that you're willing to get fired. I don't know how I feel about that. Like the guy was ready to give up his career for something that was that stupid.
Did he think it was like funny or something?
I don't know.
Well, he wrote it at 2:00 in the morning.
You think he was drunk?
Yeah, because they say they party. The ESPN guys, they all party.
Wasn't there like an editor or something? That looked over it?
No editor. He
How
posted
can you
it
say that?
2:30 in the morning. He posted the article.
He got fired and somebody else got suspended. But of course you're gonna get fired. That's like saying something like Kobe Bryant and using the word watermelon. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get fired.
Watermelon.
I can't. It's to me it's absolutely unbelievable that you could do that.
Wow, I didn't even know about this.
Yeah. Do you think it's racist? Or do you think he was just trying to be funny? Do you think he's a racist for saying that? Or do you think
I think he was probably trying to be funny, and then it's just like, dude, it's not
How
funny.
How do you use the word chink with anything to do with anything Asian and think that's funny? Like, it's so unbelievable that I can't believe we're talking about it.
Was he like a nice guy? Like, did he like him, or was he writing like a mean article about him?
He had a bad game. He had one bad game, so he said chink in the armor. He thought that phrase fit so perfectly that he had to go with it. He just...
The only explanation that I could possibly come up with is that he has no idea that it's a derogatory term.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense.
That's like saying somebody using the N-word and saying, in no way did I think that would be offensive.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe the guy's a dope guy.
Because that's the N-word for Asian people. Like, that is the N-word. You know? Like, what would be the N-word for Irish people?
Yeah.
I guess it's Mick, right?
Yeah.
It's Mick. But you see,
think there's
why
also
can I say Mick? Why is it not the M word? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's Mick. Like, but yeah, with other words, you have to say the first letter and stop right there. But Irish people, we get no respect. It's like, oh, Mick. You know what I mean? Like, we can spell it out. It's no big deal. It's Mick. Everything else is like letters, right?
Yeah. I don't think there's one for Colombians.
Oh, let me think for a second. There's got to be. Give me 1 second, because I know there is.
Latinos in general.
Oh, yeah. There's a good one.
It rhymes with Mick.
No, of course there is. And that's the S word. I won't even say it. I can't say it.
Hey,
But
yeah.
Mick, Irish, Mick. Oh, it's Mick.
They all
It's
end
the
with
it's
ick,
the
kind
it's
of.
the N word.
Ick.
It's the
Well,
N
except for the
word.
N-word.
The N word, the C word, the S word. No, the C word is for Asians.
Chink.
We're not talking about gender. We're talking about race.
No, I understand what we're talking about, but when you say to somebody, "Oh, she called her the C word," you're not thinking Asian.
Because nobody's ever had the balls to even use that word before. That's what I'm saying. No one even had the. That's why it's so incredible. No one would have the balls to even discuss it.
Yeah.
Let alone put it in a lead story for a major network. You know what I'm saying?
I screwed up.
That's a big. So you have the C word for Asians, the S word for Spanish people. What?
But I'll tell you, you know what MSG's doing? When he scores, they have a fortune cookie crack open and his head comes out of the fortune cookie.
No, they do
I
not.
swear to God.
They do not.
I swear to God.
I don't believe it. I
swear
think
to
you're
God.
lying.
No.
Offensive though.
All right.
But that's a little.
We have someone who's Asian in the room. Is that offensive?
No.
I say
I think that's kind of funny. It's kind of cute.
Is that?
But
is that
you know what that's like? That's like the Irish player scores and like boos start going in his mouth.
I was gonna say that's like every time that's every time McCarthy scores a basket, you see an Irish guy do a shot and fall down drunk. You know what I mean?
You know, like
it's
his
the
head
same-
turns into like a shamrock.
Yeah, and it morphs into a shamrock, a drunken shamrock,
That'd be so cute.
or a leprechaun, or a leprechaun, a drunken leprechaun.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm offended by that. I find that offensive. It's wrong. It is offensive. But so you can say the C word. You say the C word. C for the C word. You say S for the Latino people, right?
Yeah.
You say N for the what? N for black people. But Mick for Irish people. That's the rules. It's Mick for Irish people, and WAP is the W. I meant Italian. I meant W.
Oops.
I meant, well, now the cat's out of the bag. Can we say it? No, W for Italian people. Could that have been the worst mistake for the guests we have tonight? Could that have been the worst mistake we've ever made?
Yeah, it looks like somebody else is gonna get.
Is that the best segue to our next guest?
I can't see it getting any better.
Couldn't get any better. So we have the W
Yeah.
for the Italians, W letter, the C word for Asian, the S word for Latin people, Spanish people, and
forgot about
the
that one.
Mick word for Irish. There we go.
Okay.
So we're all in agreement. That's all appropriate. So, oh my God. So you don't think she's watching, do you?
No.
Because she is. She's not. We're locking the door and not having her
I
on.
always ensure that my guests don't watch.
Do you think friends of hers are watching the show right now and texting her? So we should. so we
I
should.
got really scared just now.
I would suggest this. I would suggest that they're coming in right now. So let's have them on the show. We'll take a break, and we'll be back right after this. We're back. You're watching the Chaunce Hayden Show. Of course, you can watch it on metropolisnights.com, the GFQ network, and we're broadcasting live from the Sapphire Gentlemen's Club in New York City, the world's greatest gentlemen's club. We have our guest. This is such a big deal for us, really a big deal. Karen Gravano from Mob Wives on VH1. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for
This is
having
so
me.
huge.
It's huge, especially right now, because I just found out a couple minutes before I walked in here that I'm the New York Times best-selling author. My
See,
book, Mob Daughter. I'm number 18.
Congratulations, that's
I
amazing.
had to get it out right
See,
from the beginning.
I thought you were going to say you just found out you were coming to a strip club a few minutes ago.
Oh yeah, I have no problem with a strip club. I ran one in Arizona for years, so Christie's Cabaret. I love this industry, actually.
You can't go wrong with a book on the mob, especially you, your name. I mean,
Right.
people are so fascinated with anything to do
with that world.
with that world. And I've interviewed a couple of you girls from the show, and I find all of you have one thing in common. You have trouble saying the M word. We're doing a thing. We have a theme tonight on letters for words, and you'll know if you watch the beginning of the show tomorrow. You know what I mean.
Yes.
But
I'm like, it's so funny because everyone asks me, how are you taking this all in? And I'm like, it's weird because I'll be walking down the street and people will be like, mob wife, and I'm like. They said the word, especially
it used to be so
growing up.
taboo. It was like mafia, there she is.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I actually did Geraldo 2 nights ago, and it was funny because he showed a clip actually of him chasing my father and John Gotti down the street with the camera, and they're running, and I'm like, here I am sitting on a show. So it was just like everything has come full circle.
We're going to talk about the book, but I have so many questions for you.
Okay.
I mean, you could be here for 3 hours. That's how many questions I have. First of all, let's talk about your dad for a second. He's in jail right now.
He is in jail, yes.
I gotta ask, how does he feel about the show?
Oh, he was, when I first told him about the show, he said, what's the name? I said, Mob Wives. He said, what? He said, you're not a mob wife. He didn't even like the name. He was, against it. I did tell him, I was writing the book, and he was supportive of it, but he was like, what kind of story do you have to tell? And I think when I sat down and I told him, Jennifer Graziano, who's the creator of Mob Wives, her vision was to show wives in similar situations that are, either daughters or married to men that are attached to that lifestyle, what they go through and the struggles and the aftermath. So, he kind of, and then once he started watching season 1, he was like, okay, watch your mouth. Why are you cursing,
So he watches
now
it in
he wants
prison.
to kill me, I think.
He watches it in jail.
Oh yes, he watches
it.
it.
So they have cable TV. They have VH1 in prison. They
do. And at first we were looking at other networks. Lifetime and A&E was very interested, and we even went to Stars. And then I'm like, why the fuck? Oh, can I curse on the show?
Of course, you can do anything you want. Just
don't say the
W word.
Yeah. Why are we on VH1? Because he gets it, But he gets it. He just don't like the fighting and the hair pulling. Like he just feels like I've been through so much. Why would I come back and be caught up in arguing and fist fighting on TV? That's not really who I am. I always thought with the mob, the thing was you never wanted to discuss it. You didn't want to promote it. Being on a show like this, like what would John Gotti do today if he saw this show? Can I use the term roll over in his grave? Well, I'm sure he probably rolled over a couple of times after his daughter did a show, and now his son is doing a movie, and
this would be his worst nightmare, wouldn't it?
Not just Mob Wives, but yes,
all the mob shows. Like this. But at the same time, he was criticized because he was so flamboyant. Absolutely. Like the people that were old school thought even he was too much. Like he's the one that created this whole interest because we became fascinated with John Gotti.
I mean, I think we put a face to an image that people were interested in. When you have the old-time gangsters, you have Carlo Gambino or even like Paul Castellano and Chin and people that were very secretive. You never really seen them. And then here comes John Gotti, and he's running down the street with an entourage and people are chasing him. So I think John Gotti was the face of the mob. And I think that's why people are still so fascinated with that. Sammy the Bull, John Gotti. I mean, I get that question all the time because I think there hasn't been a chemistry like them two. And the fascination, and also they were the faces of the mob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, when you were growing up, did you call him Uncle John? Like what was his name?
Uncle John, yes.
Uncle John.
Mm-hmm. I remember he called my house one time. He was locked up, and my father was actually running the family at the time. And I got a collect call, and it said John, and I accepted the call, and I'm like, hello, because I knew it was from my father, but I didn't know exactly who it was. And he said, hey kiddo, it's Uncle John. Where's your father? And I'm like, Uncle John. But I
wish I had Uncle John like that. Imagine having an Uncle John like that. Like, who would bother you? Who would ever mess with you? I'm going to call Uncle John. I'm going to text Uncle John.
Yeah. Oh, and even my father. I mean, I think he had also a lot of respect and fear on the streets. So it was just, it's either my father or Uncle John.
I actually have some fear of you. I swear to God I do. Are people afraid of you? Like,
they have no reason to be afraid of me unless they do something to me. I'm the most easygoing.
But that's why I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'm going to do something to you. Accidentally. I'm so afraid.
Wait, hold on. Let me call someone and tell
I'm
them
so
where I am.
afraid I'm going to do something to offend you that could come back and you know what I mean? Like you seem to have the ability, if you wanted to take care of things.
Probably, but this is the thing.
I'm so scared. I wish I was a different answer. I wish to God you had a different answer for that.
The one thing I can deal with anything. You can ask me questions. I'm not going to get offended. It's the way you come at me. Like if someone's interviewing me and they're going to direct something that's derogatory towards me or my family, it's the way you say it. But if you ask me a question, I have no problem talking about it. I have no problem talking about my father cooperating, the rat word, anything like that. But it's the way people address me. Also, the one thing that I can't
tread lightly
is a liar. Like if someone's going to lie, that's the only thing that drives me nuts, and you'll see that a lot on Mob Wives. But other than that, I'm laid back. I'm open for discussion, or even, you know.
All right. Then let me ask.
Go ahead.
All due respect.
Go ahead.
So much fucking respect.
No, go
I'll kiss your hand. I'll get on my knees if I have to ask the question on my knees. And your dad killed a lot of people.
19.
19. Okay.
He was involved in 19 murders. He didn't actually pull the trigger.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
No, don't ask the question.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
questions
All right.
It's real.
All right. So, when you first learned that your dad is involved in 19 murders, this is your dad. This is the guy who tucks you in at night and kisses you on the cheek.
Right.
He's the guy that makes you breakfast in the morning that you call daddy. When you learn that for the first time, what's your thought?
When I first learned about the 19 people, I was learning because he cooperated, and I think I was more devastated at the time that he cooperated rather than finding out about the 19 murders, because in our world, cooperation or ratting or snitching is the worst betrayal that you can ever do. And I was always raised my whole life to believe that that's something you don't do, so I didn't understand it. It took me a while to kind of let it all absorb into my brain, and I realized that part of the reason why I wrote my book is there's a dark side to that world, and like you said, there's such a fascination, people are so intrigued with it, but there is a dark side, and I think a lot of times the families are the victims, because I don't feel the men are. Everybody goes into that lifestyle making a conscious choice. They all take the same oath. You know, when you're sitting there, you're asked if you can kill. So I think when you say yes, I can kill, you also have to know that you can be killed.
They actually ask you that. Can you kill?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, there's been several people that cooperated and said the oath that they have to take. They burn a saint in their hand, and they're asked if they can murder someone. You know.
Could you, that's your dad calling.
Yeah, he's like, shut up! I'm in trouble now.
Who's Sammy? who's Sammy Gravano? No. All right. So that said, then, I've seen you on the show. You have a temper. Like if you get cross, you don't mess around. Like you'll throw fist. When the time.
I was even known to throw plates on the show.
And plates. So are you able? Are you capable of going that far? Is it in your blood, the Gravano blood, to kill if you had to kill?
The only way I can ever kill, and I would say it was in my blood, is to protect my child. If someone crossed me to where, you know, if someone was coming at me to hurt me out of self-defense, absolutely. Or if I knew that someone was going to hurt my child, yes, I could kill you. But I'm not a gangster. And I think that people, the whole misconception of that world is people think my father's like this serial killer. He was a gangster. And he was involved in 19 murders, but it's an organization that orders hits. And my father, when he chose to be a part of that world, he did it 100%. When he was a gangster 100%. And he was good at it. That's why he rose to the top. But he wasn't the only person. And I think that's where, you know, now with me writing the book and getting a lot of criticism is people are saying, oh, well, Sammy did this and Sammy did that. Yes, but so did that world that he chose, and there were many other men that did it as well.
Did you ever ask your dad about it? Did you ever sit him down and say, Dad, tell me about the murders. Tell me about your involvement.
Absolutely.
And is that too personal, or can you share that? Like, what his
No,
response
I mean,
was?
I think when he, like he said, the first time he ever did it, it was actually surprising to him because he didn't feel remorse. It was actually like a power trip. And he felt so loyal to a brotherhood and an organization that when he first did it, he went from being Sammy, and then, you know, you commit your first murder and you walk into a nightclub and you're, you know, the first person online, you're getting pats, people are giving you stuff, giving you envelopes, sending you, you know. So it's something inside that world that's very, once you do that, you're respected.
But how do you do I couldn't do it. I couldn't, there's nothing that could get me to kill someone that wasn't harming me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't understand the mindset that, I understand you take an oath,
Right.
but people...
Like my father said, he said I was in an army and I went to Vietnam and I was given
he looked
a gun.
at it like a war, and this is a soldier.
He looked at himself as a soldier of Cosa Nostra. When he joined that, that's what he became.
Okay.
The same way when he went to Vietnam, and that's how a lot of these men look at it. And I'm not condoning it by any means, but I understand why they do that.
the families. Now, I tell me if I'm incorrect, but I understand the families of the victims are suing VH1 because they feel they're profiting off the death of their family members.
They're trying to stop me from getting the profits of my book.
Okay.
Which
it's you directly they're suing.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to. This is my story. I am not my father. I did not commit the crimes. I am entitled to tell my story, and I am not glorifying it in my book. I'm making people see that there is a downside. In the same way that they're victims, I'm a victim of this lifestyle. And I'm also a victim where I lost my uncle. My uncle was murdered. So it's unfair for them to call themselves victims and say that I'm not, because I've suffered loss. So I'm by far saying, yeah, what my father did is great, and I'm trying to make an excuse for it. The men that were murdered were all part of that life, and they were all made a conscious decision, but the families are victims, and I feel they are, and I will give them that. But
You
I'm
see
a
yourself
victim,
as a victim as well. in other words.
Absolutely.
I got to ask this. It's an amazing story how your dad was able to have that admit to those involvements in the murders and then to get a second chance at life and go to Arizona with his family and start over again.
Right.
That's incredible to me. And I think to everybody, you know, that you can do that, that can happen. But then he blows it. What happened? How do you get a start like that again and then throw it all away a second time?
I explain this all in my book, but pretty much I couldn't let go of the lifestyle. I felt so betrayed when my father cooperated that I wanted to date bad boys and I wanted to do bad things because I felt like when you're bad, society and the people around me will respect me. When my father turned and ratted, I was not allowed in some of my friends' houses. Family members turned on us. And not only in my own community, but I would open up a newspaper and here's a rat's body with Sammy the Bull's face on it.
Right.
He's a squealer, he's a rat, he's a stool pigeon. But then John Gotti's walking down the street and he's the Dapper Don, the king of New York. So in my mind at 19, I felt like when you're bad, that's how you gain respect. And I was scared when my father cooperated. I was confused. So I did everything to be bad to feel like I could be accepted again. And I made mistakes. I allowed the wrong people into my life. My brother and I started getting involved in selling drugs. And you know, my father, when he found out, first flipped out. I mean, he basically walked over to my brother, put a gun to his head and said, you want to take your life here? You know, I mean, out of like, you're killing yourself by doing this. But he also lost control of us because we lost respect for him after he cooperated. So his biggest fear when we were in Arizona that Gerard was gonna, and there was a hit out on my brother's life. You know, the FBI had told my father that there was gonna be a hit on Gerard's life, and actually a couple of gangsters, well-known gangsters, stopped that.
I would have so much anxiety living in your house.
Right.
It would be constant anxiety.
Right, but here's the thing. My father now at this point knows this, and he knows, like, he kind of lost control of his son, and he fears that we're going to go back to New York and that someone's going to kill us. So in his mind, he felt, let me lend him money so he doesn't go to New York. Now, the average law-abiding citizen may say, how could you lend your son money? But Sammy the Bull, the hitman, knows this lifestyle, so he's saying, if I don't, my son's going to get whacked.
Right.
Because there was already a hit out on him. So we made a mistake. We all admit to it. My father takes responsibility. The charges in Arizona were definitely trumped up. Sammy the Bull was a lot.
It was for selling ecstasy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, they basically told my father, you take the blame, and your kids could, you know, your daughter will be out of it. Your son will get a couple of years.
I've never
less.
tried ecstasy. I'm too afraid.
Right.
I can't believe people buy it. Like, it seems like the most frightening drug.
It was back in the day. I mean, I tried it once or twice, but it was never my thing. I had too much going on in my life to get high. Like, I felt like I needed to always be sober and kind of aware of my surroundings.
Because people, you ever know, you turn around, someone's going to whack. Do you worry today that someone might whack you to get back at someone or to make a statement or...
You know, I would be a fool to say no. I think that's something that will always be in my mind, but it's not something that I get up every day and live in fear, because what kind of life is that? And if it happens... When we were in that lifestyle, or my father was in that lifestyle, it could have happened by your best friend. You know, it comes in. So it's you know, I don't think so. There are a lot of people that have come from my father's past out of the woodworks that see me on TV and are like, if you need anything, here we are, and have been very supportive of me, especially of the book.
Right.
So I have people in the
background.
background.
And the name of the book again is?
Mob Daughter.
Mob Daughters. Can we take a quick break and come back? And we have a few more questions about the cast, too, because I have questions about Big Ange, Drita, of course.
Yes.
So we'll be back right after this. We're back, and we're talking to Karen Gravano from VH1 Mob Wives. So, right off the bat, yes or no, is Joe Pesci in the mob? You would know this. You're the only one who would know this. I say Joe Pesci is a mobster. He's a made man.
Well, guess what? I only speak on my crimes
Yeah.
or my father's because he spoke on them. So whether
Blink
Joe
your-
Pesci is
blink
in
your
or
left
not,
eye. All right, do
I
this.
mean, he definitely
I don't want you.
portrays-
I don't get in trouble. Look at me in the eye. Blink your left eye if Joe Pesci is a made man. That answers my question. That's what I thought. All right. So Big Ange,
Yes.
who would believe that she has become such a big star on the show? She's a phenomenon. Why? Why are we so obsessed with Big Ange?
She is just, I think we needed Big Ange on the show. She's the comic relief. And she has this way of just blowing things off her shoulder, or she could just say anything like, pass me that magazine, and it's funny. It's the way she says it. She's just such a big heart. She's a great person. I know her pretty much my whole life growing up. Her uncle and my father were very, very close. So she's always been a character. Jennifer, as soon as she decided to cast season 2, she was like, I have to have Ange on the show. And I think because we're all so and bickering and
Right.
killing each other, here comes Ange with her dog, and I watch the show and I wait for Ange's scenes because I'm like, shut up, Karen, shut up, Drita, shut up, Ramona. Like we're all
We
bickering.
want Big
Yeah,
Ange.
we're like,
We can't get
Big
a-
Ange because she's
She's going to
funny.
get a spin-off show. You know she's getting a
Absolutely,
spin-off show.
Absolutely.
All right. Of course, we got to ask about Drita. Some people think it's made up, that it's choreographed, that it can't be that real. Two people cannot hate each other so much. What's the truth behind your relationship with Drita?
Drita and I were friends, or I thought we were friends years ago.
You were her husband's ex-girlfriend.
Yes, for 7 years.
Okay.
She was
You
my
guys were
friend.
friends? Wow.
Yes. She came, I welcomed her into my home. I moved to Arizona. I lived out there for about, I don't remember exactly, it's anywhere between 4 and 6 months. And when I got into Arizona, I got into some trouble. So I wasn't calling home. She knows why. And we just didn't talk. That's the reason, because I wasn't calling home because I had legal issues going on. So I find out that her and Lee are together. And he called me, and at first I was really upset about it. I just felt like me and her were bigger than that. Like, she lived with me, she was my friend, she could have at least called me. All these years later, I come back, Jennifer, who's the creator, says, I'm gonna put Drita on the show, what do you feel? I feel great. She's in a similar situation. I think that we've had a friendship. Lee, I left him, I put that in the past. I could be friends with her, I could be cool. I start doing the show, and it's, she doesn't want me to talk about it. He's sending messages on the street for me to not say I dated him and all this other stuff. So it's kind of escalating because I feel like, dude, I never talked about you in 13 years. Don't give me an ultimatum or tell me what I can do and I can't do. So me and her started having these issues. Then she was telling people like Karen really didn't date Lee. She was minimizing the whole thing. So I was upset, but I'm the type of person, if I'm upset, I'm going to direct it to you. So, I did a scene with Carla, and Carla's like, you dated Lee when you were 15, what's the big deal? And instead of correcting Carla and saying, no, that's not, I was, 19 to 26. I was 18 to 26 when we dated. I went straight to Drita, and I said, I have an issue, and this is the issue. She flips out, she don't want to do scenes anymore, and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of off-camera stuff going on.
This is real. It's just not.
This is
all
so real.
Real. Okay.
This is extremely real, and it goes deeper. She's telling, Lee's saying, oh, I don't think Karen should be on the show. The show is called Mob Wives. Okay? I'm not married to the mob, but I'm born into it. Lee has no mob affiliation. He's not connected to this world. He's a nobody. He was a wannabe, in a farm team. So who are you to tell me I could be on a show or I shouldn't be on a show when I lived this life? And I feel like, all the demands and everything that was going on off camera started escalating on camera. Me and her we made up. I told her about my book, and I extended the olive branch. Like, here's my book. I want you to feel comfortable.
Right?
Yeah. I want you to feel comfortable if you have an issue. The whole scene, which you don't see, is an hour long. Girl, I'm so excited for you. Oh my God, I'm pumped. We should name it this. We should name it that. And then she leaves, and she doesn't want to read my chapter. She goes directly to Carla and talks shit about me. If you didn't want to read my book or you have a problem with it, talk shit to me because I'm the one writing it. What do you have to tell Carla for? That's one. Then she comes to me and we do the scene, and she's trying to say, I broke up with Lee for 2 years. Me and her weren't friends for 2 years. Like, what's your point? Like, what's your timeline? Because there is no timeline in friendship. The truth of the matter is, me and Lee were broken up. She was my girl. I confided in her. I'm not saying she got with him or broke us up. All I'm saying is, if you can't admit the truth, then how can we have a friendship?
But it's amazing. It's not just two people who have a difference. It's how violent it gets.
Right.
It's compelling
Right.
to watch that kind of violence.
Right.
That's real.
Right.
It's off the charts.
arguing.
You just don't see that, and it's real.
If you watch in every scene, I never put my hands up first. that's Drita's claim to fame, because she can't say she's in the mob. She can't say whatever.
You're a good fighter,
Her
though.
claim to fame is, I break bones, ambulances come, I don't pull hair, I don't scratch. She talks a lot. Because first of all, if a person really is tough, it doesn't mean you can knock someone out. It's in your heart. You know, and to me, that's what I've been taught my whole life. So her chapping and this all, it doesn't mean anything. Then we go to Renee's house, and Renee and Carla are getting into it, and Drita takes her shoes off. It's her famous line, when I want to hurt people, I take my shoes off, and that's how I hurt people. And she squares up. As soon as I see her square up, now she's in a square up mode, I go into defense mode like, oh, you're going to hit her. Drita starts running backwards saying, I'm breaking it up, I'm breaking it up. She took her shoes off. She said how she wants to hurt people is when she takes her shoes off. As soon as I step to her, she says she's breaking it up. She flip-flops. She never stands behind anything she says.
Well, all I know is that I would never mess. I would never mess with you. Boys, when you date men, you have a boyfriend right now?
It's complicated.
Yeah, of course it's complicated. How could it's always going to be complicated? You're a father, Sammy the Bull.
Yeah.
Personally, I would be afraid to date you because I would think that if we ended ugly, you would have me whacked.
No, absolutely. I'm not even that person. And you know what? Even with Drita, I never put my hands on her first. When I got up, she threw a candle at me. I fell over. Renee was on top of me. She's pulling my hair, trying to break my ribs. Then in season 2, we're in the same room, and now she's like, oh, girl, I love you. We were friends. If you watch the show and people watch it clearly, everything she says, she goes back. And it's actually amazing to me, and I'm not trying to diss her because I know her so well. People watch the show and they're like, oh, Drita's so tough. She took her shoes off and she was going to, you know, beat everyone up. And then she's saying she's breaking it up. Like, she flip-flops everything she says. On the rooftop, she says, we weren't friends when I got with Lee.
She just needs a beating.
A bad beating.
All the time. She just
bad
needs
one.
until she learns a lesson.
Yeah, and I'm like, at this point, I'm a best-selling author. My
You're a
father is
so
like,
you-
why are you even fighting with this girl? You know, and I'm like, she's driving me nuts. She's challenging me. He's like, you're back in Staten Island, period. You never left, period. Tough isn't if you can beat someone up. You're tough in your heart. You have, Ramon is loyal. Like, you two together show what friendship is about. Why are you even entertaining this girl? Because you're making her relevant. I'm giving her a storyline.
And your dad is a wise man. He's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
You're going to think I'm kidding, but I'm not when I ask this next question.
Okay.
And I asked Ramona this, and I'm going to ask you this. What does it cost, seriously, to get somebody whacked? Like, if I wanted to, I'm not joking. What does it cost? Because
I have no idea.
you do know. Please, come
Listen.
on. You absolutely know.
No.
If I wanted, because I can tell you, there are 3 people I know that I would, if I could get away with it and have them whacked, I would.
I don't
3
know.
people.
That's
Do you-
conspiracy to murder. We'll all be
Do you-
charged.
do you know-
We don't want to know. We don't want to know.
Do you know,
We
is
don't
anybody in
wanna
your life you would have,
know.
if you get away with whacking someone, are there people in your life you would want to whack if you could get away with it?
No.
There's 3 people. In a second, I would have them whacked if I thought I could.
Oh my God.
What? That's right.
I don't want to get on your bad side.
What is it?
How many want to whack you?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to whack me, but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know where to go, how to go about it.
Okay,
Like,
well, even in the mob, you can't just whack someone. You have to have a reason to do it. So they don't charge you for whacking someone if they felt that if you were a made member of their organization and
Right.
you're part of their family and someone hurts you, you wouldn't have to come to them and offer them money. You're going to have to present your case, the reason why you want the person whacked.
Like in The
They
Godfather.
first try to settle it, and if they can't settle it and they understand your position, they'll whack the guy, but they ain't going to ever charge you money.
So it's free. If you have a good case,
Even better.
like it's going to, like you go to a meeting, and if you have a
Mm-hmm.
good case, they'll take care of it for you if they think it deserves a whacking. Wow.
But you always have to have everything approved. That's why my father was involved in 19
See, but I'm not a
murders,
made man.
because
So I
you
have
have
to-
to have it approved by the boss, and everyone goes up, and then it's
That's one of the
conspiracy to
benefits of
murder.
being made.
That's why I
See,
don't even want to ever talk about murder. We're
this
like,
is
la, la,
why
la,
Joe
la.
Pesci and Robert De Niro wanted to get made in that movie because
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to be able to get people whacked without having to go like the route I would have to take, which is going to some Spanish guy. No offense, but
I'm going to be a Spanish guy. Ew, jerk.
some
I
Colombian,
don't know.
some
No,
Colombian. I'd have to go to
no.
some Colombian
Right.
guy who's going to rat me out when he gets busted for
Probably.
being a cocaine mule, and then I
Right.
end up going to jail.
Yeah, see,
And he
it
probably
wasn't
the person never
Italian
even gets
mob.
whacked anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you lose the money, you go to jail.
Colombians don't do that. It's only in
of course
Colombia.
they do.
Not here.
Colombians whack people, don't they? You know. Like if you want to go outside the mob, like what nationality is the best
It'd be-
whacking
it-
nationality?
It's not going to
Like
be
what is
Colombian.
it?
Maybe Colombian.
The Colombians are the best. The Colombians are the
Stop.
best.
I think every nationality has the ability to whack someone if you want to, it just depends on the person that you go to.
So you should be scared of me too. So
I am scared of you.
All right,
Very
good.
scared of you. John Travolta is supposed to play John Gotti in a movie. Right now, they don't know if it's going to be made or not. It goes back and forth. Who would play your dad?
You know, I don't know who they choose to play my father.
Who would you want to play your dad?
There's just so many. I would like someone like Johnny Depp. And
Really?
Yeah.
And who would play you though?
For me, I like Natalie Portman, Scarlett Johansson, Emily Blunt. I want someone that can really, you know, really act and kind of get to the core of. I think anytime you see a movie, which I think John Travolta is very good, because at first you would think John Travolta, John Gotti, you don't see the resemblance and stuff, but I think John Travolta is a very good actor, and I think that he'd be able to capture the character.
Yeah, but John Gotti wouldn't want it. There are rumors. We're not saying he is, but rumors that he's gay. Would John Gotti want a guy who's rumored to be gay to play him in a movie? I say no.
He's probably he's doing flips again.
He's doing flips again. John Gotti would not. I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak for John Gotti. John Gotti would not want John Travolta to play him in a movie.
Right.
He goes against the laws of nature, his lifestyle.
The movie goes
allegedly
against the laws of the lifestyle.
I think he'd have a problem with it.
I would agree that he'd probably have a problem with the whole entire movie.
The whole movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, who today is in charge of the mob? Like, is there a mob today, or is it over? Did your dad really bring it down, or does it still exist?
I think that and you know, this is a quote directly from my father.
Right.
He said, John and I went in as partners, and I think we have to go out as partners. I think John Gotti putting it on the cover of Time magazine and flaunting it and insisting that they have meetings every single night at the same place with the FBI and, you know, the Daily News watching them, partook in bringing down the mob. So John can take responsibility for that, and my father will take responsibility for the stand. And I think together, yes, that was the beginning of the end of the mob.
So you don't think
I think that there will always be a mob. There will always be people that do crime. There's always organizations because people want to belong to something.
Right.
But I don't think it has the stronghold on New York like it used to.
I think it's the Russian mob. I think the Russians
absolutely. I think there are probably other crime.
It's the. I'll tell you in the order.
ethnicities
It's the Russians, then it's the Asians, then it's the Irish, then it's the Norwegians, then it's what?
Yeah.
I'm just listening. Go ahead.
And then it's the Greeks.
The Norwegians.
The Norwegians
Norwegian
they're up and coming. It's like buying property, and so you don't know where to buy property.
You know what?
Invest in the
Also,
Norwegians. They're coming up.
The laws that are, you know, that are made and put in place today, and the prison terms and sentences, and to be honest, everyone's cooperating. I mean,
It was a
it's
rap
just-
today. You can't trust anybody. Yeah, it's true.
People are wearing wires and doing whatever.
Technology, the way it is,
Mhm.
it's almost impossible.
Yeah, you have cell phones now that can tape and do all this other stuff. I mean, it's crazy. I think that anybody that even would want to get involved in that lifestyle is a fool at this point.
Can I tell you something? You're much more beautiful in person than on the show.
See, thank you.
Do people
make
tell you
sure
that
I
all the
get
time?
whacked.
No, do people?
Yeah,
I'm trying to
no.
save my life right now. I'm trying so because when you see the first half of this show, you're so much more beautiful.
Thank you.
Like you have
Thank you.
very Mediterranean features.
Yeah, I
like
just-
Sophia Loren. You look like Sophia Loren.
Thank you.
You do.
beautiful.
You have her
That's a compliment.
cheekbones and her lips.
Yeah,
And
so
her
you know what
eyes.
it is? Sometimes, and I'll go up and down in weight. I struggle with weight, so I go up and down. But also, just HD. I don't know. When they say those cameras are bad for you, they
No, you're
some
beautiful.
people look just like Ramona looks just like herself on TV. Renee looks just like herself. Drita and Carla are actually very thin in
Mm-hmm.
person, but they look good on TV. And I just look like a moose on TV. Like it depends on
No,
the shots
no, I
and
don't
stuff.
think-
And
no,
it
you
is
don't
the
have
way
that.
you dress and the clothes. But thank you. I
No, you're
appreciate
beautiful.
it. A lot of people tell me that I'm
Was
really
your life
pretty
like
in
The
person.
Sopranos? I have two more questions for you, and I'll
Yes.
let you. So when we watch The Sopranos, that's pretty dead on to how it
Yeah,
was.
I think so. You know, sometimes me and some of the other girls will argue. Me and Renee have differences, but to me, I think you see the modern day gangster John Gotti. Like I grew up in an era where, you know, I used to see the Carlo Gambinos and Paul Castellanos and the very, you know, old timers. But then it went to the modern, where I think The Sopranos actually captured that whole era of like the.
You watched
the
every
boss
episode? Are
and-
you addicted to like everybody else, or
There was a couple of seasons when it got weird. You know, he was dreaming and doing all this other stuff, and I
Right.
couldn't watch it. But the first two seasons were amazing, and then I think at the end, I was disappointed the way it ended. But you know, it was great. I love The Sopranos, especially if I was homesick when I was in Arizona. I would turn it on Sundays and feel like, you know, I'd eat dinner.
it's like being back
and
home
be
again?
Like home. I'd
It's like
pretend I'm
it's
in
like
my
yeah,
grandmother's
it's like being
house
at
or-
home
yeah.
watching The
Mhm.
Sopranos. one secret about the mob nobody knows. Tell us one secret that no one. Come on, don't make us beat it. We'll beat it out of you.
I give up my own secrets. I don't give up the mob secrets.
Oh, you're gonna tell us, but the door's locked. You're not going anywhere. We
Yeah,
will
I
have a
know.
fist fight
People
here
know
like you've
I'm
never
here.
seen. We will.
So let me call Uncle Vinny right now.
We
Call
will
Uncle
trash.
John.
We will beat you like you've never. We don't care.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Dad, if you're watching this, no, Chauncey.
Sammy, no, I love your father so much, and I respect your father. I think your father is a great man. I think what he did was brave, and I think it made up for all the people he whacked because allegedly involved with. You know, not that he actually pulled the trigger or stuck the, the screwdriver through their heads or put a bag over their head or. But I do think that he did a great thing because he saved lives. For the lives that he was involved with taking, he actually saved. Because think how many more people would have died had he not taken the steps that he did, knowing that his family would have that stigma for the rest of for generations.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can agree with you to a certain degree and
I'm
extent
serious.
for that, but I mean, what he did was brave, but I think in his heart he felt like he was loyal to a brotherhood and he was betrayed by a brother. So he just was done, and for me doing the book,
those tapes, right? The tapes,
the Gotti tapes.
The
I mean,
tapes.
when he heard them, he realized.
But people don't know what we're talking about when this was going on. But initially, made her dad flip was that the feds played tapes of your father trashing your dad.
John Gotti trashing.
John Gotti trashing your dad.
And my father's smart enough to know in that life, John was setting him up to get whacked.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that goes behind it.
He had too much information, like he had to.
Of course. And I think that there was a situation that my father knew prior. There was a hit put out on John where Chin and the FBI warned him and all this. And actually, they came to my father first, and they were gas piping them, said, we're going to take out John. And my father shook hands with them and said, okay, well, I'm on this side of the war because my loyalty is with my family.
What does gas piping mean?
Gas pipe was a gangster.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a gangster, a famous one too.
Okay.
So they were the ones that were going to put a hit out on John. And when they came to my father, they wanted my father to be the boss. They were going to take out John, but they wanted my father to know. And he was like, absolutely not. And I think instead of John looking at my father and saying, wow, Sammy's loyal, and I respect him and love him for this, he looked at my father like, he's a little powerful. I have to be scared of him because if other families that are powerful are coming to him, he can be a threat. So when he was talking about my father on those tapes, my father is smart enough to know that he was pretty much setting him up to get killed.
It's like, in other words, getting fired, which in the mob is getting killed.
Right.
You don't get fired, you get killed.
Well, yeah, or you can be shelved. Kind of kicked down, you can be demoted. And
demoted.
Stuff like that. Right, but you couldn't demote someone like Sammy the Bull, so I mean, that just wasn't happening, because if you're going to do that.
Would you date an Irish guy? You would?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm open to anything.
Would you date a pale-faced, very transparent-looking, with an Irish guy with a rash? Would that be a problem?
No.
Because I love Italian food.
Okay. I can't cook, though. My brother's a chef, but he's...
Really? Meat sauce spaghetti, the greatest thing in the world. You can't get it in Italian restaurants. You know that? Do you ever go to an Italian restaurant and try and get spaghetti with meat sauce? It's impossible.
Yeah, that is true.
Rocco's on
Especially in
Thompson
Arizona.
Street, it's the only place I know in Manhattan.
Right. I'll have to try it, Rocco's.
No. Anyway, one last question.
Go ahead.
Before you go. How much money would you make, seriously, if you did a pay-per-view event with you and Drita in a boxing ring on pay-per-view?
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm inquiring about that.
Have you looked into that? You must have, right?
Yeah.
That's lucrative. That's lucrative.
Well, yeah. I mean, at first I was thinking, should I whack her or should I try to get money off of it? And
I didn't even
I'm
say, you said that. I didn't say anything.
So I figured now that I'm legit, I'll go the legit way. And at least if I'm going to,
beat her to
fight
death in the ring.
Beat her to death
legally in the ring.
And get money. And
Just
get
beat her until she dies. Beat her and beat her and beat her until she dies. And beat her
So I'll
and
take
beat
that
her.
route. But maybe
Beat
I'll
her in
keep
the face.
Yeah, I'll keep my options open. You're violent. Are you sure? Are you a part of the
He's
mob?
not normally like
Beat
this. I
her.
don't know what's going on.
Beat her in the nose and the
Are you
eyes
the Irish
and
mob?
take your elbow and rub it in her jaw until she can't breathe. And
Where were you when I was freaking whale hunting?
No more violence.
no, so that I think well, thank you for coming. What's the name of the book again? Please plug it, the website, everything.
It's Mob Daughter. You can visit me on KarenGravano.com. And I have all my upcoming events, book signings, and my other projects, because I'm actually working on a movie project as well right now. So
you have so much going on. So you got to come back when you have more going on. Like, keep coming back.
Okay.
Like, come back all the time.
I will.
Whatever you say, we'll just say yes to.
Okay.
All right. All right. We'll be back right after this. Wait, is this the end of the show? We have time? Take a break. Okay. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after this. We're back. You're watching the Chaunce Hayden Show, and we just heard. So, Andrew, how many people were watching this segment? It's actually incredible. Almost 100,000 people watched this show tonight, which is pretty cool.
Probably because she was here, Karen.
You don't think it was all me?
What?
Or was it your boobs, your cleavage? I think it was your cleavage.
No, I don't
I in fact, I'm going to say this.
Let's be awkward again.
If we had no guests tonight, we still would have had 100,000 people. In fact, I'm going to say this, that Karen cost us viewers. We would have had more because the camera was on her. And if we would have focused the camera on you, we probably would have had 200,000 viewers.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thanks.
So you're welcome.
In a weird, awkward way.
Very weird, creepy, perverted
I don't want to be
way.
sitting next to you any more kind of way.
Well, I haven't insulted you once during the whole show,
I know.
So we had to get a couple in before you left.
I know.
What did you
Well,
think? Did she flip you? Did she change the way you feel?
But you know what?
'Cause
It's
you're
weird.
team-
Can we
you're
get
team
Drita
Drita.
in here too? Because I feel like before I was like Team
Big
Drita,
Ange.
and then
Big Ange and Drita we need still.
and then what's it called? And then Ramona came in. And I was like, oh, I like her. And then she came in, and it's like, you hear all those different sides of the story.
Changes your
Perspective on like the whole thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. So listen, the show's coming to an end. So we didn't get to do your gossip, but
Yeah, it's
you
fine.
don't care,
We'll save
do you?
it for no.
We'll save it for another time.
Yeah.
Got to thank a lot of people. First of all, want to thank the Sapphire Gentlemen's Club for allowing us to broadcast from the Boomer and Carton room,
feeding
the
us
world,
later.
and feeding us.
my
Got to
favorite part.
have to thank, of course, Andrew Zarian and his beautiful wife Jessica for manning the technology here and setting up the studio and making this all happen. Absolutely, and you, of course, my
thanks.
co-host. Who,
I didn't even like talk today. I was
No,
just like
you-
listening. It was so interesting.
no,
I was like learning.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't get enough.
She's a day off. Like, you don't need to do anything. You just let her go.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating.
You just say, you just
Felt like I was
say,
watching like a Discovery Channel like on the mob.
you say John Gotti and just go
Watch.
get some coffee. Just
But
leave.
I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
the viewers, they're from outside of New York, and they don't understand. Like, in New York, like, especially, like, I'm from Queens.
Yeah.
John Gotti's, like, a god. Like, you don't say anything bad about John or Sammy, you too. Like,
Right.
that's a name that you constantly hear
Right.
growing
it's,
up.
It's
Like,
New York royalty. It really is. It's crazy because they're mobsters, but it's New York royalty. So we had like a mob princess on the show tonight. Of course, have to thank Metropolis Nights magazine, Hendrik and Robert.
Yeah, 'cause I wouldn't be able to get here
Yeah,
without
without Hendrik,
There's no me.
there would be no Tatiana because he's so fucking rich. He just finds a way to get her here. He flies her in or he takes helicopters.
I actually came in a helicopter today and we landed it on the roof.
However he gets you here, the publisher Metropolis Nights, you get here, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep.
And please go to metropolisnights.com. Read the magazine if you're not from the New Jersey, New York area. If you are from this area, it's in all the bars and clubs. Metropolis Nights, this coming issue, we have the Moxie Twins, and
Yes.
we're going to do a lot more with the Mob Wives
Hey,
in
I'm
upcoming
unexposed
issues.
this month. Just saying.
And you're in the exposed photo session, so you can
You are too.
And I
You
am
are
too, so you can see really hot pictures of Tatiana's cleavage in the back of the magazine.
Weird. It's not in the back. It's like somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
Stop.
Metropolisnights.com. We'll be back next week. We'll see who's on the show then, and we'll see you later.
Bye.